Degenerates, I got something really special for you guys. We are with um a legend in my mind, anyways. But this dude's super cool. I can't wait to talk with him. All the way from Los Angeles, California. Guys, please welcome to the show, Neil Roemer from Cutthroat. Neil, it's a pleasure to have you, man. Thank you for stopping by and talking with us for a little while. I
Fuck
definitely
yes.
appreciate it, my friend.
Hell yeah, brother. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Listen, man, I totally appreciate your time, so I'm not going to waste any of it. We'll get right to it. Um, did you guys form? When did you guys form? 2013.
So about 2013, we
Okay.
we put this project together.
How did it all come together? How did you guys all get together?
Well, so I was in a band previous to Cutthroat locally around here, LA. It was called Urban Assault, and I was approached. We would just play local stuff, but then I was approached one day by Chris Lee from Downset, and he hit me up and he was like, "Yo, your band's cool, this and that." I didn't even know that they had any acknowledgement of it at all, but they asked me to do a tour with Downset. I was like, cool, man, if Ray gives the blessing. And of course, like, Downset is literally what kind of started me going from hip hop to where we're at today.
Sure.
And they asked me, so of course, I said yes and got the blessing, and we went and did that run in like 2012 or early 2013. We did a European run. We went to Central America. Um, and then I don't know what happened. Maybe there's some hating going on, or whatever. But I was just a hired gun. So the other Downset gets back together. The originals decided they wanted to do it after we were doing it. And again, I don't really know the reasoning. Because from my understanding, it was all said and done with those guys, and we were good to move forward. And I was just gonna, do some touring and this and that. But then some like bad blood shit happened. So we decided, Chris Lee and I decided that we would put Cutthroat together. So the original band was myself, my boy John Manhart, who he did the Downset run with us when we went and did that tour. He played bass, and then Chris Lee, we decided to put Cutthroat together. And so that was the inception of how it happened, was spinning off of the Downset thing that we did.
Are you guys rolling with the original lineup now, of the original Cutthroat lineup now, or?
No, it's changed over the years. Cutthroat's one of those bands where it's like, we work, and the tours ain't glamorous, and they don't pay us money. We don't make shit. We break even if we're lucky. So it's not glamorous for everyone to do. So people move away. People move on to other bigger projects. So I've had a couple lineup changes, but the one that I've gotten now, I think, has been the most consistent with Cutthroat.
Yep.
Especially songwriting wise, and yeah. So to answer your question, it's mainly me assembling the project to see like who's available when we could go on this tour.
Got you.
So it's kind of the way we roll.
So now we got you here to promote this the show. You guys are coming here to Albany at Empire Live Friday, July 8th. It is actually the Brick by Brick tour kickoff, which you guys are going to be doing like an East Coast run with them.
Yeah.
I think you said, right? Okay. Correct. So
Correct.
it's going to be Brick by Brick, you guys, Powerhouse, Violent by Design, Concrete, Oak Heart, Breathless by Dawn. It's going to be one hell of a show.
That's a fucking lineup.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, man, it's going to be an amazing night. Insane, definitely insane. Be a nice atmosphere. It's gonna be a lot of fun, dude. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, this one's sponsored by the folks at Nippertown, and there's a couple other sponsors. I don't remember exactly who's on it, but so now you guys are doing 10 shows, I think you said.
Yeah, I think it's 10 shows, give or take. I think there was one that needed to be solidified in Atlanta, which I think Mike did. But yeah, we're going down to Florida, and then through the Carolinas up to Atlanta, and then back up through New York into Albany. So we're kind of doing a little East Coast circle.
Now you said you've played with, you guys have had shows with Brick by Brick before. do you have any interesting stories from the shows that you guys played with Brick by Brick? I'm just trying to dig dirt up on the boys. So
Well, I mean, the show. Well, we played one show with them in L.A.
yeah.
and I can't report nothing too exciting. The first time I saw Brick by Brick, I flew out to the Black and Blue Fest, and I just made a solo trip out there because it was just such a stacked lineup,
Oh
and
yeah.
the dudes from Count Time were playing, and they're homies from out here in LA, and like they're tight with Brick by Brick and those dudes. So I flew out there and I met my friend Leah out there. She was managing Cutthroat at the time, and I saw him play there, and of course that night was, I mean, fucking insane. Is the Black and Blue Fest, which they're always amazing lineups, and always amazing shows. And then a couple years later, Brick by Brick came out to LA, and we played a show with them that the guy Junior from Count Time put on. I think it was a Hoodcore Fest, like the first one maybe, and the Danny Diablo was with Scarhead, and then so nothing like super out of control to report, unfortunately, because all the stories you hear of like all those dudes together, you expect something like to go off or whatever, but just total gentlemen. I chopped it up with both of them, and to me, like of course, Danny Diablo is a huge fucking legend in the game, and
Sure.
then the boys from fucking Brick by Brick, coming from Ray to Mike, and they're also legends in the game. So for me, it's like I'm a humble dude, so I don't go too overboard and jam people up about shit. But I definitely enjoyed watching them play, and it was like, again, seeing Danny Diablo do his thing, is just legendary. It doesn't matter like if you're at a festival, if you're at like a dope little venue in LA with 100 or so kids, just the nostalgia. So that's probably that, because that was my first time seeing Scarhead. I've seen Crown of Thorns a couple times, which I'm a fan of as well, but that was my first time seeing Scarhead, which I kind of like the groove, and the
Sure.
hip hop feel of it. So it was really dope to watch and just hang out. And I bought merch, and honestly, dude, I don't even think they know who I was that night. Like maybe they saw Cutthroat play, and maybe they didn't because we played before them. But I don't fan out, but I just blend in. But we definitely made contact that night. My drummer and Cutthroat, one of my best friends, Bobby Blood. He's super tight with Mike, and he's done a lot of touring with Mike and those guys, and Ray, Full Blown Chaos, and like back in the day and all that stuff. So he kind of like bridged the gap between us, and then me and Mike just started talking, and I think that's how we kind of assembled this, was from just meeting that night.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one. Let's talk about your music for a second. You guys, your last release was, I think it was Reflect in 2020, right?
Correct.
Okay. Um, which other releases are hanging out there right now that people can pick up? I'd like to get people to kind of go to a band camp or wherever they can
Well,
purchase.
I know on Spotify, we only really released 2 records. We have the third one done. When we're just waiting for the right deal, which is, it's on the table.
Sure.
Um, but Spotify, iTunes, you can get all of our stuff. You could stream it. I think we have probably about 15 or 16 songs out there. If you, Google Cutthroat LA, because there's so many Cutthroats. If you Google Cutthroat LA, we got a whole bunch of videos that will come up. So yeah, I mean, it's out there. Reflect is probably the first record we did, was kind of like a demo that we jammed together with Billy from Biohazard. And then it ended up being pretty cool. So we did the spinoff, which is the EP with Reflect. So even though we've been kind of doing our thing since 2013, we're relatively like with releases and stuff like that. I mean, I still consider us a pretty new band. So we're putting out our third album, and it's a full length 10 songs. And I really think that this record is what defines us. We were finally able to sit down with like the solid lineup that we have and write like a real band, and not piece together studio musicians. But yeah, you can definitely find it on iTunes, Spotify. You just gotta Google Cutthroat Los Angeles, because I mean there's rap groups, and I know there's a couple other old school hardcore bands that were Cutthroats as well. So you just got to signify it with LA at the end, and our stuff will pop up.
So now let's talk about the writing process for a minute. How do you guys go about doing that? Do you guys all just kind of jam on stuff and it kind of comes together, or is it like a process where it becomes a riff, then then the rhythm section comes in, and then like how do you guys write the music?
Well, I'm an old school, like I come from like rap, and so I'm usually just like, oh, here's a beat, and here's a mic and garage band or Cubase or whatever the format is at the time. And so that's how I write my stuff. I've been fortunate enough to hook up with just great dudes who have helped us along the way with writing. Um, some of it's organic, done in the studio, riff at a time and piecing stuff together, that's like more of the newer or the earlier stuff that we did. We did a lot of stuff with Roy Lozano, who's also in Downset.
Yes.
He helped kind of shape and mold the first sound of Cutthroat in the beginning, along with I don't know if you remember Murder Death Kill, the beatdown band, but like
Yeah.
Pitbull Dan and he kind of helped with the guitar sound in the early days. But then now my bandmate Ben, he plays drums, bass, guitar, whatever we need him for at the moment. He writes the majority of the stuff, and he just sends it to me with drums already on there, and they're programmed and shit. But he sends me pretty sick demos, and then I can kind of pick them apart and be like, hey, this would be cool over here. This would be cool over here. And then we kind of just piece the songs together like that. Then we go demo it live. Then we go into a studio and not record it for keeps, but then we demo it so we can get that organic feel out of the machine
Sure.
process that is handed over to me.
Yeah.
And then I write vocals that way. So he'll send me, the guy's a monster. He'll send me, 15, 20 songs, and I'll pick like 4 out of those out of that bunch. And then we'll just keep moving until we got a record.
Now you guys have some singles out there too, right?
Yeah, we just the most recent one we did was Overthrow, and that was a split with Brick by Brick on Pitchfork, Upstate and Pitchfork that Warren put together, and so that was our latest single, and there's a video for that. Never Settle. Yeah, we have a few singles out there.
What about Forgotten?
Oh, okay. Fuck. So that's the very first Cutthroat song that we wrote, and we originally wrote that when it was like the more downset version. So that
Okay.
was like Ray, or not Ray, but Roy, Chris Lee. Fuck, I can't even remember who else is. Oh, I think Pitbull Dan had something to do with that too. But that was
But
the very, very first song we wrote.
that was interesting too because not only is Sendog on there, but George Lynch, I
Yeah,
believe, also.
isn't that bizarre?
It is, man. How the hell did you make that happen?
Well, Sendog is like, he was like best friends with Roy. Um, from like back in the day when Roy was like part of the Soul Assassins thing. So he brought Sen aboard, and then George Lynch is my brother-in-law.
No
So
shit.
yeah, he's married to my sister. This fucking
Wow,
guy.
dude. All right.
Yeah, I didn't even. I mean, my musical knowledge, like, I'm sorry, guys, that I'm not like a big metal dude and like, but I thought he was a drummer when my sister started dating him. She asked me who he was, and yeah, but I mean,
All right.
fucking, he's my brother, dude. They've been together for like close to 20 years or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
so he's funny. I love George to death, and he's played stadiums with fucking Guns N' Roses, and
Yeah.
we've always had like something, and I don't even know why, but he's like, oh, I got to play on that. Like if I do something, let me be a part of that shit. I tried to do something with him once because he put out a rap record. I forgot it was called Smoke This.
Yeah.
It was not Dawkins, but a Lynch Mob thing, and like me and my boy did like one of the rap songs live and I'll never do that shit again. So
No.
like those metal fans and what we do, you can't crossbreed that shit. Like
Yeah. No. Definitely not. Definitely not. Yeah,
no,
but yeah, George is a talented dude. I mean, Sendog's no joke either. But
yeah.
that's funny how that came together. Wow. That's
Well, like I said, like at that time we were demoing, and then we were just like, well, who can we get? Who can we piece together? Cutthroat wasn't necessarily at that moment in time going to do anything. We weren't planning on touring. We weren't even planning on like, I mean, we brought in like Andrew from Strife, like came in the studio and helped with some stuff, and like just Fernando from Worst and Christian Old Warbers, you know, like all these dudes came in and like, let's just throw down on this shit so you could rap on it. And we made like 8 songs, and that's really what it was. Is like Billy's like, oh, you know, you're a talented guy. We should do a record. It just so in the very beginning, that's how that ended up happening. Is we were just like, who could we use for a guitar solo? Well, fuck, George Lynch is your brother-in-law. You know, get Sendog to do a rap verse because he's from Cyprus and one of the illest MCs. Yeah.
So let's talk about the pandemic. I mean, I know you're out in LA, and it seems like you guys got it about as bad as we did, maybe a little bit worse. But I know it was devastating not only to the music industry and the bands, but to the venues and their employees as well. It's been a fucking nightmare, I'm sure, for everybody. How did it affect you guys band wise, aside from not being able to play gigs? I mean, were you guys able to?
Well, so we came off Persistence tour with it was like MAD. They're a booking agent in Europe. They're like the big one. They got Sick of It All and Gorilla Biscuits and all the fucking best bands in the world, as far as I'm concerned. And they have this festival every year that they do. It's a circuit fest. It's called Persistence Tour. So you play like 12, 15 arenas or whatever, huge fucking venues around Europe. And so it was starting to happen. COVID was starting to happen when we were there, February 2020 in Europe. And I think our last show was like in the UK. We flew back to the airport and everybody was in masks. So we are like, what the fuck? And nobody even really knew, because you're touring with all these guys, Agnostic Front and shit. You're not paying attention to the news. You're paying attention to Uncle Stigma, you know? So,
Right.
yeah. So we were just away from reality. And then it hit us when we got in the airport and we're like, yeah, whatever. And to be honest, like, it's perspective, because it took a lot of wind out of our sails, because we came off of Persistence tour, and that's like one of the biggest things you could do in Europe. And for like clout and equity wise for Cutthroat, I thought it was amazing. And then we had some really cool shit, like the shit that I like fests and stuff like that I want to do, like the stuff I did when I was in Downset, and I want to do with Cutthroat, the big, you know, brutal assaults and fucking hellfest and shit like that. And I felt like we were on track for that, because, you know, we've been working since 2013, going to Europe twice a year, putting in work, like putting in mad work. We tour like crazy. And yeah, all right, cool, man. Well, I think we got there, you know, and it was just about to happen for us. And that literally took all the wind out of our sails, because now that they're rebooking all those big festivals and they're all happening now, they're going after the big bands, the headliners who need to eat. And those guys are doubling and tripling up their runs and their shows. So for a smaller band like us, I think we missed that boat. So that was probably the biggest downfall music wise. But I think we spent literally 2 years writing these 10 songs, and if this shit don't hit, you know, for us, and you know, exceed us to the level we want to get to, or the next level, I don't know if there's any progression after that, because we've really defined our sound, refined the shit out of it, demoed it, worked it, kinked it, you know, vocally I worked my ass off. And
Yeah.
so I think it was a blessing to have that much time to do this, because we had another deal. You know, we signed a record deal with Demons Run Amok, and we had a you know, pending deal with them for this follow-up record, and it would have come out really quick. We would have done it in 6 months and wrote 10 songs, and, you know, like normal, and it probably still would have been dope, but I wouldn't have been able to love it, then hate it, rip it apart, and then rebuild it the way I did. And now everybody involved in this record, and the people who have heard it, you know, were like, fuck, man, like it's Cutthroat on a different level. So I think that was a blessing. We wouldn't have been able to put in that much work, because not being able to tour and do all the stuff that we love to do, we had to stay active. It had to be in the studio. So it was a benefit. Like I said, it's perspective. It sucked from, you know, for us and our momentum, I think, live. But, you know, for the record wise, it was fucking, you know, it was great, because what we're about to put out, we have 5 videos done. We got 10 songs, and they're bangers. And we just did a run in Europe. I just got back, you know, like 5 days ago from a DIY run we did in Europe. And we played a bunch of the new shit. And I've never seen the fucking crowds go off not only was I pleasantly surprised that we did a headline run and we had the turnout that we had and the fucking shows that we had, they were great, but the new songs compared to the old songs we were playing, because we're like, fuck it, we're going to play the new shit. Like, we don't want to wait till we release it. We're going to play it. And just the energy and the feel of the crowd. So I'm like, I think we're on the right track with what we think is going to happen when we drop the record.
So you being out in front of the band, this is a question that always kind of intrigues me. And I like to ask it because I usually get some different perspectives on it. Do you notice a difference between US crowds and European crowds?
Bro, it's fucking night and day.
That's what I've heard. And then some people say there's really not much of a difference. It's the same intensity, but yeah, let me get your take on that. I'm always curious.
Well, so again, it depends who you are. We're a smaller band. And so I think bands tend to, hardcore bands, and I can only speak for hardcore and crossover stuff like what we do. In Europe, they're receptive to you quicker than they are here. And this is like the US to me, because we've done US tours and stuff. The US to me is like, she's a 10 and you got to come fucking correct and you got to prove yourself to win her over.
Mm-hmm.
Where Europe is a very attractive 7, a very sexy 7, and they're a little more loose, meaning they're going to show up to your show because you're coming from the US to go play in their town, and they're going to dance and go fucking crazy because they're not about clout bands. They're not about, oh, crew, we're just going to represent our crew and go to the bar when the other bands play. And there's there's no fucking politics in the music scene out there, where if you ain't a clout band in the US and you don't belong in certain circles and shit, at the end of the day, you got to work extra fucking hard to do that. And me, I'm a newer kid into the scene. And even though I've done music a long time, to really have arrived in, the hardcore community, we're a newer band. I'm not a dick rider, so I'm not going to go join some shit. I got my own people that I belong to, and like there's loyalty. So we put our head down and we work hard. In the US, that doesn't always work. Sometimes you got to fucking, you got to stroke relationships to get on those tours, or you got to be from that crew or that shit if you want to fuck with those clout bands. And so I think I don't mind touring the US, but I prefer Europe over that because there's none of that politics. And again, that's my perspective. Everybody has different perspectives,
Mm-hmm.
but there's just so much red tape to break through here for us to play with Agnostic Front in the US, where we've played with them, 10 or 15 times in Europe.
Sure.
There's just not the red tape there. There's not the politics. It's, if you come and you work hard and you're a good, good group of people and you're honest about what you do, they're going to be receptive to it.
So in your mind, what's the biggest gig you guys have played? Like audience wise, like crowd wise, where you were looked at and you're like, holy fuck.
So me personally, I've played fucking Rock El Parque with Downset in Colombia, which was 60 or 90,000 people.
Holy shit.
But with Cutthroat, I would say we played Reload Festival. I'm sure there was a few thousand at that show when we played. We've played some festivals that have been in the thousands. But it's something that we could never replace, would be that Persistence tour, because it was Gorilla Biscuits, Agnostic Front, Street Dogs, Wisdom in Chains, Billy Bio, fucking H2O,
wow,
Count Time, and us. I don't think I'm leaving out anybody else, but that, just the energy, per fucking building that we were in, because of all those other bands, and like we had a decent time slot. I mean, we were playing second, but in that building, people are showing up early for those bands and for all the other reasons, and like they were consistently the biggest crowds that we played to and best sound systems. Like I said, everybody's motive is different in this game. I'm here because I love to perform. I love music. I love, I love hardcore and the people who are in it and the unity. Like, there's no other genre where you could just book your own DIY tour the way I did in Europe and get the support from your other hardcore friends who are in hardcore bands. And we literally built this tour that way. So I really love that I'm a working guy. I'm a father. You know, I have 2 daughters. They're my priority on everything.
Sure.
And I just want to play festivals. That's all I fucking want out of this. Like, it's not even, I don't give a fuck about fame, clout, none of that shit. I've already played like with, like guys like AF and Gorilla Biscuits and the people that I looked up to as a kid who were like my, musical heroes growing up. And I've done
Sure.
all that shit. For me, my end road is to get back into those big festivals and be able to like pay my bandmates for going out and doing those runs. So there's the love of playing live for me is really like so I don't pay attention to all the other shit. Like I just don't. I don't give a fuck who's blowing up right now or who's big or who's hating. There's a lot of
Mhm.
fucking haters or who's not hating or whatever. I keep my head down and I do it for the simple love of I just want to be able to continue to play music and I want my audiences to be really fucking big and that's the whole motivation behind I think Cutthroat and what we do.
So, I mean, that kind of answers this next question. But so, what can the folks expect from Cutthroat at the show when you guys hit the stage?
Well, you're going to get a show. The guys who are in Cutthroat right now are all professionals. We got like dudes who got a lot of years touring who take this shit really serious. You're going to get a great show with us. I guarantee you that. It doesn't matter who's in the room or how many are in the room. We start playing, the music hits, we just vibe a certain way and we just do our thing. So I think what the states are going to get, they're going to get the new and improved version of Cutthroat. They're going to get the best that they've seen out of us because of the songs that we've written and the energy and the plus we're coming right off the road, jumping right back out on the road. So we're all pretty seasoned, tour wise, like we're ready to go. We don't have to
Mhm.
rehearse a whole bunch to get there. So yeah, I mean, we're just gonna try to keep up with fucking Brick by Brick because we already know they're monsters, bro. So we're gonna warm it up for them so they could do their thing, but you're gonna get us at 100% going up, million miles an hour. And I'm stoked on that. I'm stoked to go play, and we're gonna play some of the same venues that we've been to before. So I expect some of the crowds to be really good.
Do you have a favorite venue, U.S. or Europe?
Yeah. So I would say in my all-time favorite venue that I've ever played, I think it's a club called SO36 in Berlin, Europe. I mean,
Mhm.
my favorite venue in Europe, and then, um, you know, I don't have a lot of good shit to say about U.S. venues because we don't get paid a lot of money and we're not a huge band. It's always a struggle for us to play, and they're fucking dicks most of the time about
Right.
shit. So but locally we've done a lot of stuff out here but in LA I think the smaller DIY shows, backyard shit, that's those bring you the energy versus like trying to go play the whiskey and they make you fucking sell tickets or some shit like that.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So in the States I don't have I wouldn't say I have a favorite venue. There's venues that would be my favorite, but we're not big enough to play them yet, so we're working towards that. But Europe, all the way. SO36, we played with Sick of It All. And there's memories like every second of that night that I'll never forget.
And I don't think you're the first person to tell me that either. That club.
Yeah,
I
there's
know that.
something nostalgic about SO36. I don't want to misquote because I have never been, and I don't want fools to hate on me because I'm coming to the East Coast. But I hear the dudes from Kurtzburg, like who have played CBGBs and been to Kurtzburg. Or I'm sorry, SO36, which is in Berlin, Kurtzburg, Berlin.
Yeah.
The nostalgia is similar to would be like a CBGBs. And again, I haven't been, but that's just like some of the New
Right.
York dudes like who have been to both. There's just something about that place and Berlin in general, like Cortex Records. Berlin is like the New York of hardcore, like the hub
Got you.
for Europe.
Got you. So, and now I know you told us about it, the new album that's packed up, ready to go. Um, Other than the East Coast tour you got and the album, do you guys have anything else in the mix? Anything else you guys
Yep.
are working on?
Yep. We're working on some Central American dates, trying to see if we can We have some stuff booked in Peru, and we're just trying to see if we can add to that to really make it worth going out there.
Mhm.
And that would be later on this year. But we are talking with our agent. We're on MAD, and there's a few bands. One who I'm a huge fan of. It's I don't want to say the name because I don't want to jinx it, and I don't know if they even know yet.
Right.
But they started coming around again, and the first phrase of their band is sub, and the last one is a number. So we got approached for the fall to maybe do some stuff with them out,
Okay.
and I told my agent right a fucking way, hit them up. So that's pending. We just did a show with D's Nuts from Australia, and some friends from Devil and Me band, and they're from Berlin, sick ass thrash hardcore band from Berlin, and we're talking to them too. So one of those is gonna pop, and I would be stoked with any of them, to be honest. But we are gonna hit it. Like we went to Europe, and now it's like shit's open again, and we know we can fucking go, and we know we got to worry about the COVID compliance bullshit or none of that.
Yeah.
I mean, we went, like, none of us are,
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I offend anyone, but none of us are fucking vaccinated or really feeding into that agenda. And we
Mhm.
just gangstered it. We just fucking flew into France and we just went. So we know we could go. So we know we're going to be back really soon. So
Hell
that's
yeah.
something I want to talk to Mike about as well from Brick by Brick, because I could see us and them and another band fucking some shit up out there and doing really
Yeah.
well.
Hell yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
So to answer your question, yes, we plan on touring a lot, and so after this East Coast one, we're already gonna try to lock down and single out the next tour this fall out in Europe.
Nice.
Because for us, like, again, Europe is where it's at for Cutthroat, because making money wise, we get the biggest guarantees there. We have the better crowds there. So for us, that geographical area is better because we don't have to come out of pocket to play. Again, we're a young band, so people don't want to pay us a whole lot, and we don't draw a whole fucking lot, all the time in the States. So it's harder to get a guarantee. Where in Europe, at least we know, we've been so many times, the promoters know they could book us and they could get a show out of it.
Sure. Absolutely. So a couple more questions for you, and I'll let you go. I definitely appreciate your time.
For sure.
It's like, if I asked you, do you have one memory, tour memory that stands out in your mind, good or bad? Like, if I said, what's the tour memory that sticks out in your mind the most? Could you answer? Do you have one that you can just be like, oh yeah, it's this?
Yeah, man, it's what got me bloodthirsty for this game, which was Raquel Parque with Downset. Like, being out there on that stage playing right after Cannibal Corpse, right before Living Color,
Wow.
and that slot in front of those people, that feeling that I got, and that's what I'm chasing. It's like a fucking junkie taking his first slam of heroin, dude. And this is me chasing the dragon. Like, I want to do that, but with my band and my songs,
Right.
like, it's got to be Raquel Parque, because that was just fucking incredible. And I almost got arrested going in and barely made it, and partied really hard the night before, because you're in Colombia, and back, like, I'm sober now. I mean, I smoke herbs, but I don't drink and partake in anything else. I want to try to keep my youth as long as possible, but I was in Colombia, so when in Rome, and the next day sound check was terrible because I partied all night, and but then the way it turned out, and I, like, literally, like, 8 Mile Eminem throwing up backstage, like, that was me, dude. And there's no alcohol to drink because it's a public event. That's why I almost got arrested, because I had alcohol in my bag, like, trying to come in, because I was so shot out. I was trying to lick the hair of the dog.
I got you.
And I fucking blacked out, and I came to with the crowd chanting Downset and for an encore, and I'm like, what the fuck happened? And I literally do not remember that show. But the other one really bizarre thing that happened was I had no service, because it was different back then. I had like a Nextel, the two-way fucking beep beep phones they used to use for construction and shit.
Yeah.
My friend's father had passed away recently, but that night was his birthday, and he wanted me, because he was streaming it with his mom, and he wanted me to have the crowd to sing happy birthday to his dad, Bruce Lieberman.
Yeah.
And right before we played, he was able to contact me, and I was standing on the side of the stage as Downset's being introduced, and he came through on the phone, and he goes, I just wanted to remind you to do the birthday song. And I'm like, what the fuck? You can't get a hold of nobody. Like, something spiritual or crazy happened where he was able to get a hold of me. I couldn't call my family. I couldn't call my parents. There was just no service in Colombia. And like, they didn't have Wi-Fi on those phones back then. They were analog. He was able to get through to me and remind me to do the happy birthday thing. So that probably the shock of that was probably the biggest tour moment. And then we sang happy birthday. And then, you know, his mom, you know, and everybody out happy, and the way they like the love they gave us when we came back made it like one of the most memorable moments.
Awesome, man. That's a good story. I dig that, man.
Yeah.
So listen, man, I've taken probably too much of your time as it is now, but let's talk about this show in Albany one more time. It's Empire Live, Friday, July 8th. The Brick by Brick tour kickoff party. It's going to be you guys, Powerhouse, Violent by Design, Concrete, Oak Heart, and Breathless by Dawn. Of course, the Mighty Brick by Brick. Sponsored by Nippertown. Totally and absolutely looking forward to it, man. Anything you want the degenerates to know before I let you go?
Well, just save your energy, because when we play, it's our first time in Albany, and anytime we get into a new town, you know, it's where we go the hardest because we want people to remember us. So I can't really unleash what exactly we have in stock, but we are going to do some special shit, especially up in the upstate New York area. But just be ready for a fierce, you know, full-blown chaotic show.
Mark those fucking words. That's all
it's gonna happen, and fucking I'm super stoked because, you know, and special shout out to Mike. Look, we're blessed to be where we are, and for certain people to be fucking with us the way they do, and like why Mike has put in so much work to take us out. Like I still got to ask him that when I see him, but we're so appreciative. But that's what I was telling you about before, was the hardcore thing, and the energy that I think me and Mike have, in the way we feed off of each other when we talk and shit. So I think that has a lot to do with it. But just special shout out to Mike Valente, and everybody sees how hard he works and how hard Brick by Brick works, and it's just like we're just trying to follow that suit. So I think that's the best thing for us, is we went out with Sworn Enemy, and I know they're like-minded people, Sal and Mike and all those dudes, and fucking, I know we're just gonna have an amazing time, and we're gonna make a great brotherhood between our bands, and the future is gonna be sick, because, you know, we're talking about not just Europe but other countries already, and the way we work, the way Mike and I are, we're the same people when it comes to our bands and how we handle business. So, I mean, I'm very fortunate that he's taken us under his wing on this tour, and I'm very thankful, and to be in Albany for the first time with our music, man. I promise you guys, I'm giving it fucking 2000%. You're going to get it all.
I have no doubts. Believe me. Listen, Neil, thank you for spending time with us. I definitely appreciate this, man. I'm humbled. I don't even know what else to say, man. I look forward to shaking your hand in person when you get here to Albany, and I can't wait, man.
Fuck yeah, brother. Well, we're gonna tear it up for sure. So no, I appreciate you. I'm humbled that you are taking the time out of your day. I could ramble on all fucking day, but thank you, bro. And I'm looking forward to it, dude. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, buddy. I hear you. So I'm gonna let you go, man. Ladies and gentlemen, Neil Roemer from Cutthroat. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
Cheers, brother.